Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today for Tag Tuesday. I wanted to do a tag for you, and so I am going to do the JFK Book Tag. This is a new tag that was created last week by Carrie over at Very Literary Carrie, and she kindly tagged me in the video, and she did a nice job. If you don't know anything about Carrie, you ought to go check out her channel. She is a big enthusiast of John F. Kennedy and his administration and everything about Kennedy. She knows quite a bit. She's read quite a bit, and so if you are interested in Kennedy, go check out her channel. But anyway, she created this tag last week, and then, like I said, tagged me. I watched it on Arion and Prometheus's channel, The Book Zealots. I watched it there, and they did a nice job on theirs. And I've seen that there's been a couple others that have done it, but I haven't watched them yet. I'm going to, just haven't got to it yet. But anyway, wanted to do this tag for you, so let's go ahead and get started. So. And by the way, I'll leave the link to those videos down below in the description box. So here's the questions. Number 1, Tenuvus Onemore. Rose and Joe Sr. had a boat called Tenuvus to signify the 10 members of the Kennedy clan. With the birth of Ted, the family named another boat Onemore. What book with a large cast of characters would you recommend? All right, so I can finally recommend this book. I just finished it this morning. It is a chunker of a book, 840 pages, but it's got a very large cast of characters. This is Shelby Foote's The Civil War, a narrative from Fort Sumter to Perryville. And I finally finished this morning. It has a huge cast of characters, anywhere from, President Lincoln to President Jefferson Davis, from McClellan to Lee to Beauregard to Johnston to, there's a whole bunch of them. Sherman, Sheridan, I could keep naming generals. They've got all kinds of them named in this, and then it also talks about the administration of Abraham Lincoln, the administration of Jefferson Davis, and it's just got a ton of characters from the Civil War. This is a very comprehensive history. Again, 840 pages. It's only volume 1 of the 3-volume series. So I would recommend this book for anybody that is interested in the Civil War. So question number 2. Oh yeah, and I probably ought to put in here, Carrie did talk about that she knows not everybody's read as much about Kennedy as she has, so when you pick these different books for the prompts, you don't have to necessarily do Kennedy books. You can do them from anywhere in any genre. So it's totally up to the person making the tag. So again, that would be why I picked a Civil War book for a Kennedy tag, because yeah, I just thought it fit. Anyway, number 2, the PT 109. What is your favorite book featuring a harrowing survival, a rescue, or a war story? All right, so I picked actually 3 for this. I picked one for each of the different parts of this prompt. And for survival, I picked one of my middle school favorite, all-time favorite books that I ever read. And we did this one in, I think it was 6th grade, and it was Hatchet by Gary Paulson. And it's about a kid who is in a plane crash up in Canada, and he's out in the woods all by himself. And basically he has to survive, and all he has with him is a hatchet for the most part. And so it was the ultimate story of survival. I know in my 6th grade mind, I absolutely loved the book. And there was a sequel to it called The River that was pretty good too. Probably not as good as Hatchet, but both survival stories. The next one that I picked, the part on rescue, I picked Unbroken, the story of Louis Zamperini, a runner, an Olympic runner right before World War II broke out. This book was written by Laura Hillenbrand, and it's about Louis Zamperini, who was an Olympic runner, and he gets into the military like a lot of people of that time period, And anyway, his plane gets shot down. He's out in the Pacific Ocean, and it is a story of rescue while he's out in the Pacific Ocean on a raft with his buddies, which didn't turn out exactly like he wanted to. Not all rescues are good rescues. He's rescued by the Japanese and then thrown into a POW camp, and there's a whole nother story of that, and he's hoping for rescue from that camp, and it's a pretty heart-wrenching story. It's pretty intense. And then the third part of this, you could also pick a war story, and so I picked for that part of the prompt, I picked American Caesar, biography on Douglas MacArthur, 1880 to 1964, by William Manchester. And now that I got done with The Civil War by Shelby Foote this morning, I'm going to go back to this biography, which I'm about a third of the way through it. I had put it down at one time, and I'm going to go back and finish this. This is what I'm going to really work on this last part of June, because I got a buddy read coming up in July that I want to be able to focus on. So I'm going to really hit this hard this last week of June. So those are my answers for question or prompt number 2. Number 3, Addison's disease. What is your favorite book that deals with disease or the medical field? And I got to be honest, I don't read a lot of books, or really any books, that are specifically on disease or the medical field. It interests me, and I've read books where there's chapters on that, but I have not read entire books on that. I've read, from the Civil War, I've read books with chapters on the medical field. I've read stuff from the American Revolution on what the medical field was like, and I've read stuff on early American history about different diseases that have went through, from smallpox to I don't know, just different diseases. And I would think that maybe even the one and only book that I've looked at that is on nothing but diseases is a book that I have at school. I don't have it with me right now, but it's like one of those big coffee table books that it goes through the history of disease, throughout world history, and so each chapter is dedicated to a different disease that swept through the world. And I've read a few chapters. I've not read the whole book. I've read a few chapters, basically the chapters that deal with what I teach, so like the bubonic plague and smallpox and stuff like that. So that would probably be the one, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact name of the book. Again, the book was at school. Question number 4, Camelot. What real or imagined dynasty would you like to read more about? So, recently, in the last couple months, I've picked up several books on the Addams family. And I'm not talking about the TV show. I'm talking about John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Henry Adams, and, who's my other Adams? I'm going blank. Charles Francis Adams. And so I would like to read more on the Addams family. They had a huge impact on American history. And so here's the book that I would like to read sometime in the near future. It's called The Adamses, 1735 to 1918, America's First Dynasty by Richard Brookhiser. And I've got this fascination with him because, John Adams, he's kind of a unique character. You read his letters from between him and his wife, and he's just so incredibly blunt. And then you get into the rest of the family, like John Quincy Adams, and he was able to take his pride and put it in his back pocket, and after the presidency, go and serve in the House of Representatives to try to defeat America's all-time evil, slavery. And I just got a lot of respect for that family. They're unique. They're interesting. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to. And then I also was thinking of, sports dynasties. Of course, in baseball, the New York Yankees. They have won more World Series than any other team in baseball history. And I would absolutely love to read more about them. And of course, you could pick the 1920s and 30s Yankees, the 50s and 60s Yankees, the recent day Yankees, all kinds of them. And I've got several books because it seems like the New York Yankees players have more biographies or books about those individual dynasties than any other team, it seems like. And so I am able to pick them up from time to time, and I enjoy reading about them, and I've read several. So I just grabbed this one right fast, The Last Boy, in the End of America's Childhood, the story of Mickey Mantle, by Jane Levy. And I've got, a couple others on Mickey Mantle that I've got. I've got Babe Ruth, I've got Lou Gehrig, I've got all kinds of them that I need to get read that are on my upstairs bookshelf because I usually buy them when I find them. So that would be another dynasty I would like to read about. All right, so number 5, High Hopes. Frank Sinatra re-recorded this song for Kennedy's 1960 presidential campaign. If you ran for office, what would your campaign song be? I sat and thought about this. I have no idea. I would never run for president, first of all. Their personal lives get drugged through whether they were a good or bad person, they get dragged through the mud, and I would just not want that. And so I would never run for president, first of all. But second, if I was to think about that, I don't know the song, but I know the singer. I would have my daughter sing, and my daughter Crimson, she's really good with making songs and music, and I would have her definitely make up a campaign song for me, and I would have her sing it. And she's really good at that. She recently got a song out on iTunes and Spotify, and I'll try to remember to put the link to, because I think she's got it on YouTube as well, but you can buy it on Spotify. She recently did that, and it was really cool, and I'll try to put a link to that so you can go watch that. So number 6, We Choose to Go to the Moon. Name the last book you read that was set in space. Got to be honest, I went through my entire reading list I've got it on my computer here, from May of 2017 all the way to the present. I have read absolutely, positively no books about space. None. Zip, zilch, nada. Nothing. So I have nothing for this category. Sorry. Number 7, Coconut. The coconut shell JFK carved rescue message on during the PT-109 incident was encased in plastic and used as a paperweight in the Oval Office. Do you have any neat desk items or mementos? I chose a picture of my wife and I. And this is from one of our very first dates. Well, no, this might be even later than one of our first dates. No, this is our honeymoon picture. Excuse me. She's got a ring on her finger. I put a ring on her finger. So you could see us. We were pretty young. I had hair. She's absolutely beautiful. Still is beautiful. But kind of a blurry picture. But anyway, that was from our honeymoon. I absolutely love that picture. So there's my memento. Number 8 is Scandal. What personal or political scandal would you like to read more about? For me, I think I would like to read, it's been on my reading list, and I hope to I've said this last year too, I hope to get to it this year. But this was The Hemmingses of Monticello, An American Family by Annette Gordon Reed. I would like to read more about Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings and their relationship and what it meant to that family. And it's just an interesting chapter in American history. Definitely, it was at the time considered definitely a scandal. And of course, any time that you can get a scandal like that out into the political world, the newspapers ran with it. The only difference is that Jefferson used that gift of silence, which current day politicians with TV don't know how to use. But he used that gift of silence, and so it kind of got, brushed aside. And so I would like to learn more about it. So I'd like to read that book. I really like Annette Gordon Reed. She's good. She's a good writer, good historian. So the next one, number 9, Peace Corps. What book made you a better person? All right, so I picked a trio of books. I picked The Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, and The Foot Book. And there's another one that I had upstairs that I couldn't find, but I figured you'd get the point. It's the Dr. Seuss books. These made me a better person because I was able to spend time with both of my daughters. I read this to both of them as they were young. My 4-year-old now, we read these books all the time, and it's just a lot of fun. And it made me a better person because it made me a better dad to spend the time with my child and you know, just continue to build on the idea that reading is very important and just the family bonding time. So that's always been one of our favorites. All right, so last question or prompt is number 10, conspiracy. What are your thoughts on the Kennedy assassination? Okay, so I recently bought this book and got it in a book haul, The Day Kennedy Was Shot by Jim Bishop. Honestly, I've never read it. I just got it, so I haven't read it yet. I have not read a ton about Kennedy and the assassination. I mean, I know the general basics. I've watched some documentaries, watched it on TV shows, and if you know anything from watching the channel, I teach early American history, so this is more in the more recent American history, and so I just haven't read a lot on it, and so I would like to read up more on this. So my thoughts are, I don't have a lot because I haven't read a lot, and I think that I kind of just stick with what was said. The lone gunman theory, although I do find it very hard for there to be one person involved in such an elaborate. It took a lot of detail to get this thing done, and when you look at video, the Zapruder film, and you look at all of the angles of the bullets and all of that kind of, where when the bullet came in and the exit wound and all of that kind of stuff, it would have been very, very hard to pull off with just one person. Not to say it couldn't happen, but it would be very hard. So I don't know. I go, for simplicity's sake, I go with the lone gunman theory. But I do acknowledge that there are other thoughts on it, and I don't have any myself, not right at the moment. Maybe when I get some more stuff read, I will come up with an opinion. So sorry, Carrie, I don't really have much to add to the conversation here. But anyway, this is my version of the JFK Book Tag. I hope you enjoyed this. What is your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this? If you're watching this, I know Carrie tagged a whole bunch of people, so I'm not going to tag anybody. If you feel like doing this and you want to weigh in on your thoughts on these different prompts, go ahead. It's a fun tag. Carrie was very creative in this, and thank you, Carrie, for that. And again, I saw this also on Book Zealots, so I'll put the link to both of those down below in the description. I'll put the link to my daughter's video down in the description. Go check out all of those. Thank you for watching BookTube. I hope everyone's having a great day and getting lots of reading done. So, happy reading.